So, I promised you that we were going to get to take a look at how Excel could do some of these financial calculations for us, specifically future values and present values for annuities, be they ordinary or annuities due. It turns out there's also a built-in command that'll let you calculate a payment on an amortized loan. So, let's take a look at some of these things in action. So, starting back with section 6.3, future value stuff, you see I've got this kind of laid out here. So I'm going to take a look at the first example that appears in there. So uh, the present value blank here, you'll notice I've got it set up. We don't specifically need it per se, but well, you'll see why I'm putting it in there at the moment. So working our way across, we're told here we want to find the future value of an ordinary annuity after 10 years with $135 payments, an interest rate of 4%, and compounding and payments happening on a monthly basis. Okay, so making my way across here, the payment I'm going to go ahead and enter in first. Thanks to the way Excel does this, it's kind of an accounting thing. I'm going to list it as a negative number. You'll see why eventually. The annual interest rate is 4%. So as usual, let's go ahead and make that 0.04. Periods per year, it's on a monthly basis, so that's going to be 12. And then we'll calculate periodic rate the same way we have been. So I'll do this, the long way. So annual rate divided by number of periods per year. We hit enter and it gives us that. That way we're not doing there's no round off error or anything. Excel's got the value in there. The total number of periods, coming back over to this guy, so we're doing this over 10 years, 10 years, 12 months in a year. That's going to be 120 total payments. All right, we're cooking with gas now. So coming in to look at the future value calculation, it looks like this. FV, you'll notice I've got a little tooltip down there at the bottom that's suggesting FV for me. So I'm going to hit tab. You could just open some parentheses and it'll take care of it. And you'll notice it gives you, again, this handy tooltip that fills in what you're wanting to execute here. So for rate, we want the periodic rate. Then I'm going to hit a comma. It says N per, that's the total number of payment periods. So that's that 120 right there. Comma again, payment amount. I'm going to put in that, where I've got payment listed. So we don't actually need the present value that's listed, but thanks to the fact that we kind of want to get to this guy here in the back, we have to fill it in. Those brackets mean it's optional, but we got to put it in so we can get to the bit at the end. So it says type here. And again, you'll notice the type gives us a bit of a blow up here where it says a 0 for end of the period, 1 for the beginning of the period. Remember, ordinary annuities, payments come at the end of each compounding period, so we'll put in a 0 there. It looks like an O for ordinary. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so close up my parentheses. I'm ready to hit enter and look at the value. So you've got that $19,878.72. That's what we wanted to get. So got that. Again, if you had made this payment a positive number, it lists this in red font and parentheses because Excel's gone into accounting mode and it's looking at it as a debit to your account. So anyway, if you wanted to do an annuity due instead, the format is still the same. FV for future value. Open up some parentheses. I clicked through a lot of the same stuff here. Periodic rate is the same. Number of periods, the same. The payments we're making, the same. The present value, still nothing. Now at the very end, when we get type, now we want the beginning of the period. So that is an annuity due. So yep, that's a setup. So 1. So first of the month, I guess. Maybe that'll help you remember. So close that up, hit enter, and we have a little bit more money. Like we said, annuities due, when you're talking about future values, they get to build an extra round of interest. So we've got the future value stuff. All right, well, let's move on to section 6.4 and take a look at stuff related to present value calculations. So like before, we kind of need the future value just to, fill in a blank later. So let's take a look at the example that popped up in the notes file there. So we have $1,000 per year. So our payment is 1,000. We actually want it to be positive this time, so that's that. Our interest rate is 7%, so 0.07 right there. Periods per year. We're doing this annually this time, so I'm being a little pedantic, but you can expand the process. So there's only one compounding period per year. Periodic rate, I'm going to calculate it the same way I did before. So take my annual rate, divide that by the number of periods per year. Yeah, it's 0.07, but like I said, I'm just being thorough. As far as number of periods, it's not actually specified in the notes file, so I'm going to call it over a 20-year span. All right, so we've got everything we need. Let's come to the actual calculation. If FV was future value, hopefully it stands to reason that if you want a present value, that's going to be a PV. All right, the format is pretty darn similar. I click on my interest rate, comma, I click on my number of periods over here. Payment, I'll do the payment value. That bracketed thing for future value. Like I said, we don't really want him so much as we want the guy at the end with the type. Ordinary annuities, again, yeah, end of the period. So 0 for ordinary if we're doing an ordinary annuity. We hit enter, and notice again, it's thinking about this in accounting sense. So your value is negative because you're having to pay that out to generate this income stream going forward. All right, annuity due, same setup. PV for present value, do my rate, comma, do my number of periods, comma, payment value, comma, the empty future value. And then for first of the month, I want, annuity due. That happens at the beginning. So I put in a 1, I hit enter. And yeah, we need a little bit more, which again, for present values, that makes sense. Since we're drawing the money out at the beginning, each payment is getting a little bit less chance to build interest. So that kind of stands to reason. All right, 6.4, present value stuff down. All right, lastly, let's take a look at amortized loan kind of stuff. So I'm going to make up some stuff for an example here. So suppose we have to borrow $200,000. So this time around, make sure I've got the right number of zeros there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, all right. So that's my loan amount. All right, my number of payment periods. We're going to do this over a 3-year period with semi-annual payments. So that's going to be 3 times 2 or 6 total payments. The future value, we want to pay this thing down to nothing. We want to, amortize. We want to fully kill off this loan. Our annual rate here, we'll call it 10%, just to, so 0.10. Excel drops the O, it's not a big deal. We have 2 payment periods per year. Our periodic rate, and again, I will calculate it, even though this time around there's no rounding or anything. So 0.1 divided by our 2 times per year, it is in fact 0.05. All right, so now coming to this guy. The command is PMT for payment. So calculates the payment for a loan. You can see the text there. Again, the handy tooltip tells you how to fill stuff in. Here's our periodic rate, comma, number of payments, comma, present value. That's what we're starting with. So yeah, that's under loan amount. Hit comma. Future value, we want to pay it off completely. Type, it says end of the period or beginning of the period. We didn't really specify, ordinary versus annuity due kind of stuff here. So I'm just going to fill in a 0. You don't specifically need this for anything, but it's there. So we work this out. Here's how much we got to pay. Ouch, that's a lot. Which again, I guess we borrowed 200 grand and we're trying to pay it off in 3 years. That, that's not all that surprising, but that's how much we're going to have to pay each installment. So that's Excel with financial calculations. So I think that will do it.